So we have to do the discussions. And with me today to help us do some analysis is somebody who has had some great experience in private business, marketing, done some consultancy, teaching as well, but is now a member of parliament for Boem constituency in the Volta region. Daniel Sharma is here with me. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yeah.
How's everything?
Since I'm good. Since you're honorable, I can't say Daniel, right? I have to say honorable. You don't mind. You lose like that. That's cool. Good. That's good. My good friend is here. Fuseni is a member of parliament for Kankwe North constituency. He used to be a banker before, relinquishing his skills to become a member of parliament. Thank you for joining me, Fuseni.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on your set again.
Yeah, so it's good. And we know many things have been happening. We've had the KNUST troubles. We'll bring you the latest as it is. But what has dominated the discussion so far has been the issue about the demarcation of the regions. And we know that the Electoral Commission has started displaying the register from today. It's supposed to have started, so 7 a.m. So it will start. You go and look at the electoral register in the aforementioned areas to be demarcated. And then also you check whether your name is in there. If it's not there, you're a voter. It means that you have to get it rectified. But we know there's been some controversy in there. Now let's take this insight from the chairperson of Ghana's Electoral Commission.
Ahead of the referendum for the creation of 6 new regions, the Electoral Commission is to display the voters' register at the various polling centers in 47 districts to be formed into new regions. The exhibition, the Commission explained, would provide the opportunity for Ghanaians to safeguard the credibility of the voters' register, which mostly generates controversy prior to and during elections in the country.
During this period of exhibition, both the 2018 Provisional Voters Register and the 2016 Voters Register would be placed at the exhibition centers for prospective voters to verify their details as captured and make requests for amendments or insertions where necessary. Other lists which will be placed at the exhibition centers are as follows: the exception or exclusions list and the multiple registration lists. All prospective voters whose names, photos, and other details appear on the exceptions lists or the multiple registration lists will not have their names and photographs in the main lists.
Chairperson of the Commission, Jin Mensah, has been speaking about their readiness for the 7-day exercise.
An exhibition supervisor and 2 deputy exhibition supervisors for each of the districts, as well as 1 exhibition officer for each exhibition center, have been recruited and trained for the impending exhibition exercise. All logistics for the exhibition exercise have been procured and will be delivered and have been delivered to the districts in readiness for the exhibition exercise. We agreed that the committee would be set up, and would include a representative from the MPP, a representative from the NDC, and 1 rep from the non-parliamentary parties. It would also include 2 members of civil society and 3 members of the commission. So it's based on their work, that would inform the commission on how to start and whether or not to implement it for 2020. So these are the questions we have put in terms of the terms of reference that we've given to the working group, whether or not it will be possible to implement ROPA fully at all in 2020, and if they are things that we should implement, whether it should be piloted or whether we should go full scale.
But is it possible that 2020 we can implement ROPA?
Well, it's difficult.
Because I know that work has been done, I'm told, by the Commission.
Not much. In the past, as you know, some work has been done, but it focused on Ghanaians who were working at the various embassies and who were students that had been supported who were given scholarship by the government.
But let's come to the discussions, and it's good. You're a member of parliament for Boem, and we have Jessican and its surrounding areas. So you're included in the new demarcations.
Yes.
Okay. What's the express view beyond what the chiefs and the other stakeholder groupings had told the commission when they went around to solicit the views, so to speak?
Actually, most of those meetings I was
part.
You were?
Oh, yeah. I was part. I have to listen because this is an issue of history that I've started several years ago from 1950s up. So as a member of parliament, I must be part and listen to what my chiefs and elders and the people around says. But before I make any submission, I would like to tell my brothers in Volta region that they should let peace reign in that region. I am appealing to them personally. Because if from 1950s up to today, a lot of petitions were made to various governments, even to colonial government. And it has come to the fore today that the two major parties, NDC, NPP, put it in their manifesto that should any of these leading parties candidates wins power, they will give a region. And we have accepted. And today, Nanado has won with the NPP and is giving the region. I don't think it is good enough for us to be saying that somebody is coming to take our region. Then the question is, what if NDC has won and it is demarcating Volta region? Are we going to accept or will not accept?
Is that a widely held view or comment? I thought the comments have been apolitical.
Oh, no. I'm talking from the view side of politics, where in the manifestos of these two parties, we have it that should any of the candidates win, they will give the Northern Volta a region. That's starting from Jessica, my constituency. So I will appeal to our chiefs and elders. And people make a lot of these voice messages to people telling others that they are taking our land. In fact, when you come to Volta region, the ownership of land is vested into individual hands. Unlike the Ashanti region, where the Stu land, the Otumfo owns the whole land in the Ashanti region. We adopted the what? Allodian ownership of land, where land belongs to individuals. So you see that there's a great and sharp difference here. When you come to my constituency, it is only the paramount chief, Nana Pandya, who has a Stu land, where actually he has to be using the properties or the resources in that enclave to take care of the traditional area. So I am appealing to everybody. What is going on now, I don't think, to those of us living there, I don't want to sit down here and be giving these examples that were given in the past. We just also want that share. And I'm telling them that, in fact, Volta region is, let's say, the eastern part of Ghana. And we at the eastern side, I'm telling my brothers that we have seen that light. Others who are saying that they will not demarcate or what, one day they will come to demarcate. Because when you look at the way this nation is going, for you to get the national cake dissipated to every corner, then you allow the government to create authorities and administrations where these authorities and administrations will be taking the national cake every year to develop those enclaves. That is what we are looking at right now. So those who are saying that they will not do it today, tomorrow I'm very sure they will do it. And even the Volta region itself, give ourselves 30 years to come. They will call for another demarcation if this demarcation is done. So I'm calling for peace for everybody. There should not be any confusion or war or tribal conflict anywhere. I am appealing to them. They should let the government, the EC, and then the people, if the referendum is organized today and the people there voted no, there will be no region. So we have to listen to actually those who are there and they are saying that, yes, let the government had a referendum, let us vote. It is the vote, it is not the president.
Well, it's good that you're an MP of many of the areas within the proposed demarcated areas, but we've had traditional leaders and their people within some of the enclaves like Hokwe and surrounding areas. We even have Akpafu and all that. You may say that maybe their populations are smaller in size or numbers, but they still have been raising concerns about the will or unwillingness not to belong.
Yes, from the beginning, Hokwe had wanted to be part. So they were calling from the demarcation to start from Esikuma. You know, when you are going to hold that junction, start from Esikuma up to Karachi. But at the second thought of it, I think they've opted out that they will be with the Volta region. And so I also appeal to the EC and the government today that if some people are saying that they will not be part of it, I'll plead with them, they should listen to them so that they take them out, so that we'll have that peace. Because if we are going to start a new regime with confusion, then it means the objectives of creation of this region will never be achieved. And those of us in these affected areas will be suffering more than expected. So I am appealing to all of them. Those who don't want to be part of it, I will appeal to EC. They should take them out. Okay. They are powerful people and others. They should take them out with due respect to them.
You take them out of the geographical enclave?
No. The OT region enclave.
I do understand, but if you're an island...
Look, in my constituency, when you have come to my constituency, Adoko, Akpafu Adoko, Lipe Abrani, they are within my constituency, but they belong to Hokwe municipality and Hokwe constituency. We are living as brothers and sisters. There was no problem. So if it is NDC, I didn't even go to Akpafu Adoko, which is in Hokwe constituency. It belongs to Honorable Bernice Helu. I do go there to campaign for her. So we are very close over there. So I don't think it will create any problem. If they don't want to be part of it, for the sake of God, they should take them out. So that those of us who would like to have that referendum or voting should vote, and let us see what the results will be. And that
have you listened to, or perhaps also read, reports attributed to Togbe Apode, who is the Gbogbo Mafia of the Asogbe state, raising issues? Yeah. And particularly in today's edition of the Today newspaper, as well as in some of the newspapers, it's capturing processes for new regions, threat to peace and unity. And if you get to read some of the things he said, even though it's been rebutted by the minister responsible for the creation of these new regions, he seemed to have said, after listening to various interest groups, it looks like there's some concerns of dissent.
Yeah, and I grant him that respect. Agbogbo Mafia is a chief or a king from Volta region. I respect him so much. We have to listen to him. But he should also allow those of us in that enclave to do or vote, and let us see what the results will be. Because, my brother, look at even, some were calling that the whole Volta region should vote, okay, in a referendum. But let us ask ourselves a question. The time the French and the British defeated the Germans in the Togoland, and it was demarcated, part went to French, that is Togo today. And the other one was put under the United Nations to take care of it. And Nkrumah then worked towards bringing that part to Ghana. Was it the whole Ghana who voted?
The plebiscite, right?
Or the plebiscite, 1956. So was it the whole Ghana or that enclave? It was that enclave that voted. That is why we are appealing to everybody that they should let the process go on as it is. We who are affected, we who are saying that, please, this time around, yes, without blaming anybody, we want the administration up there. They should let us vote and let us say, I respect Togbe Apode, I respect every chief for their position and the views, the dissenting views that they are having. But they should also allow us to go for the referendum. If it doesn't work well, we'll come back to them. And that is all.
But you want to express some views on this?
Oh, of course I have to.
Okay.
I largely agree with most of what my honorable colleague said. The whole process is grounded in law. I think most of the constitutional provisions have been followed to the letter. And any Ghanaian who has any issues with the process can go to the courts to seek redress. We've come this far, but I think people are still entitled to their views on the whole process. But ultimately, the people who are affected by these demarcations have the right to vote. Constitution stipulates the percentage of people who have to be at the polls, what sort of percentage will be accepted. And so let's go through the procedures. A king or a chief like Togbe Apode very respected, and he's
the president of the
National House of exactly what I wanted to say. So whatever he says, people listen to him, and people.
But he's not speaking only in relation to the Volta region too. He says
certainly, areas, but you see, with other areas like the Western region, Western North,
that'll be the new region.
With the Bronga Hafo, with the Northern region, they also the processes are ongoing there, but they're not hearing
concerns or voices of dissent too.
Certainly, there has to be. You don't expect that everybody is going to toe the same line. We are different people. We will see things from different angles, and like I said earlier on, everybody is entitled to their view on the process. Okay. But ultimately, let's go to the polls. But let the people speak. And then we can.
All right. But let's listen to Togbi Apete. We have an inset of the president of the National House of Chiefs.
More than 15 chiefs representing various stools called on the Gbogbomefia of Asogli State, Togbi Apete, to express their displeasure over ongoing processes to carve Oti out of the Volta region. Togbi Apete's call follows several from chiefs from the southern part of the Volta region for the referendum on the Oti region to be held across the region. In his response to the concerns, he raised issues with the work done by the Justice Brobe Commission of Inquiry, which investigated the government's proposal for the creation of 6 new regions.
There is more involved in the creation of new regions than just the decision to create a new region. There are matters about the boundary, the name, and the capital of the region, among others. And the Constitution requires of the Commission to advise the president on all these issues that should be decided in a referendum. But we are not hearing of anything. All we are hearing is maybe yes, we want region or we don't want it. No. What about the name, the boundary, the capital city? These are all matters, and I don't believe that this referendum should just be a matter of a yes or no answer to one person. So I think that the work of the commission was not thorough enough. Probably they were in a hurry to create a new region, and therefore did a very poor job, which is not good for the country, the peace we want, the unity we want, the development that we want.
He said it will be unfair to conduct the referendum only on the areas marked to be split from the Volta region.
You see, when you do something clearly against the Constitution, it can become void. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, if you do anything against the Constitution, it can be contested. That's the reality. If it's against the Constitution, that's why there's need for a proper, fair, and honest interpretation of the Constitution in this matter. There shouldn't be a biased interpretation to give people their wishes. You know, it must be what is behind the Constitution, the thinking of the framers of the law, okay, to protect the integrity of, this country and its regions, and also the peace and unity of this country.
Fred Kwame Asari's report for Joy News.
Well, so we heard from the president of the National House of Chiefs, but also in that context of the report as the Gbogbomefia of the Asogli State. Well, now we have to also do a certain linkage. He seems to think that even though there have been examples of using the Trans-Volta Togoland during the Scramble for Africa period and the post-plebiscite areas and periods that we had, and using the creation of a new country out of the Sudan, South Sudan, we had the areas where we had conflicts in the Horn of Africa, Eritrea, etc. We've had those difficulties. They use a certain structure, convention. Okay, and but that is science. Everybody can follow what is the norm, but it doesn't always has to be.
You see, Roland, there are international conventions gathering some of these things. Typically, and it's even happened around the same geographical area before. When we came to deciding on the plebiscite, it was only people affected by the decision who had the right to vote. Can you imagine me sitting in Accra with no first-hand experience or whatsoever in what is happening in the Volta region? I'm a Ghanaian as well. I should have the right to vote, going by what the other side is saying. And I don't think it's going to fit in correctly into the situation, because I don't understand the intricacies of what is happening there. So let's allow the EC and the government to use internationally accepted convention. Those affected by the decision are allowed to take the decision. That's all we are saying. And if we are unable to hit the threshold by what the Constitution stipulates, we will come back and then go on life as usual. The sense in Western region, the Northern region, certainly there are certain voices which will be heard on the same issue within the OT region. The former Attorney General, Dr. Obeda Samwa, he's also been speaking in favor of this.
He's an interested party.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. And that Mafia is an interested party. A figure like Dr. He's also an interest. He's also spoken in favor of this process. So let's allow the process to go on. And if the process fails, we'll come back and continue as one big region. It's difficult for somebody like me to be talking on some of these issues just because I don't have the first-hand experience of things like that. But you see, I'll put my experience in perspective. My constituency used to belong to the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. There used to be 13 constituencies within AMA.
Okay.
So when there was a policy like one district was going to get one factory, the whole of AMA was going to get one factory for 13 constituencies. Now that some constituencies have been taken away from AMA, they stand, or they also have the opportunity to get the factories within them. So it means that the share of the cake is going to get down to people. That's what we are saying.
It's not the same, is it?
It is.
It's related, but not the same.
I'm just putting that in perspective, right? If every region was entitled to, let's say, one something, right? Currently, the whole of the Volta region, from the southern end to the northern end, is just one. But now, if this process ends, well, and they're going to have two regions, and so it's going to be
and again,
more.
what you're saying is it's a policy direction from government or political party. So
he started and he made a point that we, from the New Patriotic Party, made a political promise to the people that if we come into government, we are going to do this. It's not just us. The NDC also did say it meant that for the two major political parties to have gone on the same tangent meant that there was something quite important in there. For me, all I'm saying is let's allow the process to go on. When the process finishes, we'll come back to whatever the results of the vote is going to be.
Well, so now let's speak to Dr. Eric Odrosa. He's a legal practitioner, but also the Dean of Studies, the Institute of Local Government Studies, but also he's a chartered accountant. So he has all the things into perspective. Great experience there. Good morning to you, Dr. Odrosa.
Good morning.
The question straight away I would want to put to you, when it comes to the distribution of the so-called national cake, but also development in a certain structure by which every facet of geographical areas of our country could benefit, can the argument that perhaps redemarcating either regions or districts would be a better way of proper distribution of resources?
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to your listeners. Rightly so, when you look at the Constitution, the directive principles of state policy, especially chapter 35 and 36, it is clear that the resources of this country are shared according to levels of government. And levels of government are the national level, the regional level, and then the district level. So that if you have districts and you have regions, then it means you can have a budget heading for the purpose of spending the resources of this country. One would also argue that if you have 100 million citizens in this country and we want to ensure fair distribution of the resources, then we make sure that it gets to every corner of this country. The corner of the country, it can only be defined to be either a region, a district, or a sub-district level. So I support the argument, and I think the law also supports it, that if we want to distribute our resources of national cake fairly, then we either create regions or create districts. And when we do that, apart from bringing governance closer to the people, you try to make sure that the resources get to the people. Let me give you two instances. The first one is the northern region. You realize that the upper region was one region, but when upper region was divided into upper west and upper east region, we had regional coordinating councils for the two regions. Now, the national resources, by way of constructing administrative blocks, by way of supporting them with the establishment of regional schools, regional hospitals, regional police depots, etc., were extended to the current Upper West region. So when you look at between 1983 and now, the Upper West region has developed faster than if it were to be part of the former Upper region. So that is one instance. The other instance is also that when you look at the Local Governance Act, we created something we call Regional Integrated Budget. Now, this Regional Integrated Budget requires that budgets should be sent to the regions according to the regional needs. If you have two regions, like the Upper West and Upper region, being in one region, what invariably we're going to say is that that region is going to get maybe 100,000 if all regions are getting 100,000, because the money will not be allocated according to size. So once you divide it into two, then the Upper region, which is now Upper West and Upper East, will then get 2 million instead of the previous 1 million. So I believe that if we distribute it, if we create more regions, one, it will lead to one of the ways of distribution our resources fair, and two, it will bring governance closer to the people, and three, it will fast-track development, because individual institutions may want to move their offices, their headquarters, open branches in those areas, and then this would also lead to the employment of people. It will also ensure that local economy will develop. And looking at the multiplier effect, it is likely to promote development at a faster pace.
Dr. Osai, your argument that you raise, doesn't it defeat perhaps your position on creating more regions instead of rather more districts? Because if you have the posture or perhaps the will by any government at all to properly distribute resources, then they'll rather create more districts and then do the proper distribution of the resources to those districts and make sure that they are empowered based on making sure that they have identified the needs of the various areas or geographical portions of our country that will need more resources. It's more about the will and what has been done by way of feasibility and the assessment to find which areas have more and which areas would need more in the process of budgeting. Is that not it?
That is not it at all. When you have a district assembly, the assembly is for specific electoral areas. You will need a region to coordinate the activities of the assemblies in the region. Now, monitoring and evaluation and coordination is very important in development. All the regions that are so wide and they have a lot of district assemblies whose activities are not able, or the regions are not able to coordinate the activities well, are lagging behind when it comes to development. So, yes, the local government would have common fund, their development agents, but the activities would have to be properly coordinated by a district assembly, by a region. Let me give you an example. When you look at the northern region, for instance, look at how vast and wide northern region is. The Regional Coordinating Council is in the capital, Tamale. How often do they do monitoring? If you divide that region into 2 or 3, you bring regional administration closer to the people. In addition to that, cost of doing business. Well, if somebody is to travel from the other part, the aspect of northern region that shares border with the Upper East region, to Tamale or every day to come and do business, you can imagine the cost of doing business. So I think that even as and when we create more districts, we need more regions to also coordinate the activities of these districts, so that at least you can have, on the average, a region coordinating the activities of a maximum 10 districts. But as we speak now, we have certain regions who are coordinating the activities of as many as 23 districts. And look at the enormity of work that they have to undertake. So I think that we have to have a national conversation on this, and then let us make sure that we tie this everything through the creation of more regions. But it is not only about the creation of the regions, but once we create the regions, let us resource the regions with the tools that they need for effective M&E. And then also ensure that funds goes to the local government, so that all the 3 levels of government are functioning effectively and efficiently.
But let me just pick your mind, because you're a legal practitioner. Togbi Apede is the president of the National House of Chiefs, but also the Akpokpomofia of the Asogli State. And he's quoted as saying that using the example of what may have transpired in Eritrea, South Sudan, and the examples of the plebiscite that led to the inclusion of the Transvolta Togoland into the modern day Ghana are wrong in the first place in trying to decide which demographics tend to participate in the referendum in the first place. What's your view on the subject?
My humble opinion is that Togbe Apede got it wrong. In fact, when you apply the law, he got it wrong. We call something precedent. And if you are creating regions and doing regional realignment, it is better you start from best practice from elsewhere. The best practice from elsewhere shows that, one, you have to realign. If you are creating, you do a realignment and distinguish between administrative boundaries and traditional boundaries. I think he has the understanding or the belief that administrative boundaries are the same as regional boundaries, which is wrong. Regional boundaries or administrative boundaries are different from traditional boundaries. Two, when he says that the Commission of Inquiry got it wrong, when they recommended that the affected people are only the people to engage in the vote, or they are the ones who are to vote on the referendum. Let me tell you something, my sister. In law, when you look at the Constitution is clear that the Commission of Inquiry that undertook the consultation with the people is the sole institution that has the right and the mandate to recommend to the president those who constitute the affected people who have the right to participate in the referendum. Once they make this recommendation, the president will have to act on the recommendation. And still within the meaning of the law, if you are not an affected party, how then do they involve you in the referendum? If they involve you in the referendum, you can come in and then vote no against it. In that case, you have neutralized and undermined something that will not affect you directly.
Okay.
So the Constitution is clear on that. That's one. The affected people is defined to include those who send the petition to the president and those who are directly, not indirectly, affected by the creation of the region.
Thank you very much. Dr. Eric Udrosai is the Dean of Studies, the Institute of Local Government Studies. He's also a legal practitioner and a chartered accountant. But let's move to a local government expert, but also a member of the commission. I was looking at all these demarcation of the regions. And George Bafoy is on the line. I just want to put one question to him, and the question is very simple. When you were going around collating the views and having the fora or the interpersonal conversations, what was the overwhelming view? Was Togbe Apede also involved in all those fora?
Yeah, good morning. But let me correct an impression. I wasn't a member of the commission. Hello?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, I wasn't a member of the commission anyway. My view on Togbe's position is that this whole process of creation of new regions, as far as voter region is concerned, was premised on petitions that were sent to the president by the chiefs and people of the northern part of the voter region. A due process was resorted to. The president did consultations with the Council of State, and the Council of State agreed with the president to refer the issue to the commission. The commission of inquiry went to the region to interact with all segments of the people within the region. Now, Article 5.4 of the Constitution mandates the commission to determine which areas shall get involved in the electoral process to determine the creation of the new region. And the commission duly recommended that those who are affected by the petition, and for that matter, the creation of the new region, shall take part in the referendum. And I think it makes a lot of sense because you see, people are in specific areas. They want autonomy, or they want a new region for themselves, and they are petitioning the president. It will be preposterous for those who have not petitioned. Let's say the southern part of the voter region, they have not sent any petition to the president that they want the region to be divided. So it will be preposterous to allow them to take part in determining whether the northern part, which is the newly assigned OT region, to be broken away from the whole region or not. That is unacceptable. And that would be a travesty of the rule of law, and for that matter, the fundamental rights of the people who submitted the petition. So I think that Togbe must understand the process. We must appreciate it, because we are past the stage of saying that the entire region will have to vote. That is not the recommendation of the commission, and for that matter, it's a non-issue.
Well, thank you very much, George Bafo. Mr. George Bafo is a local governance expert, and we have to wrap up on this discussion. So you're representing the various areas and the constituency that is part of one of several that are all advocating.
I think they've said it all, and I think that is very good. To some of us, what is even most important in this discussion and creation of the region is that how the resources at this enclave could be well used. How we manage and use them. Since independence, when you get to Karachi areas, a lot of arable lands, cattle rearing, yam production, you get to Dambai area, the lake is there. All these resources are just lying there. So once we are given, I'm telling my people, we have a job to do to ensure that these resources are well tapped to develop the area. And like the colleagues have just said online now, those of us there will be able, or we should be able to unite. I tell my chiefs, even Saturday we're having BWIM Congress, I'm not advertising. We need to unite and ensure that
we're having BWIM Congress.
Yeah, BWIM Congress in Accra, and I'll be there to tell them again. What is important at this crucial moment is unity, so that we can move the government agenda forward.
Well, now let's get on to the subject of the impasse of KNUST. And I know you wanted to have a wrap on this, but look, right now we've seen the rioting by the student leading to the vandalism, but we also saw concerns apparently had been expressed by the students, but hadn't been picked up, not only by the intelligence community, but even the media. We've seen matters come to a head. What should be the impasse now? How do we resolve these difficulties?
I think that we are doing the right things now. Things that we should have done probably a month or so ago. I have followed the news. Had a highly powered government delegation has been on campus. They've met both sides separately. I've heard that the chancellor of the chancellor of the university is also called for a meeting today between the administrators of the university and the student body. I am looking forward to this whole thing being brought to some amicable settlements, so we can have the university open. For student unrest to keep the university closed, I think that it's something that we should move away from. Some of us have some very bitter experiences about university closures. I finished A-level in 1994. I did my national service 94-95. The whole of 95-96, there was no academic work in public universities in Ghana. It meant that we spent 2 years after A-level before going to university by no fault of ours. I don't think that we should be doing things like this in this day and age, 20, 30 years on. Today, let's look at the foreign student population of our universities. It's also due to what happens in other countries. The experiences in Nigeria where you start a university and you're not guaranteed as to when you can finish and all that is also contributing to what we are. And we are earning some foreign exchange and some revenue from some of this admissions. So I am looking forward to a quick resolution of these issues. I can understand that property has been destroyed and all that, but there's always a way out, and I urge everybody, all the stakeholders, to come to the table. Let's get this thing done. Get our students back to campus.
I have to go to Maxwell Agbagba. Maxwell Agbagba is in a community just around us. We want to get the public views, but before we do so, please let me just get your view, and then we'll go to Maxwell Agbagba.
Yeah, that's very true. I agree with my brother too. Not only about the damage on the campus that should be actually looked at, what has brought about all these issues too. So the administration and then the students, the issues that the students raised, they need to look at them critically, because the image of this country is very, very important. It is like a brand. So when somebody is outside and mention Ghana, they should know what they will get when they come here. I am very, very disturbed about students coming home now, which is going to disorganize their academic calendar. So those who are in the final year, how are they going to manage things out? So the earlier we resolve this matter, the better. So I wish that all should have cool heads. They should look at the issues dispassionately and ensure that the right thing is done. Institutions must work. A situation where we stand on the street, let this person go without knowing actually what has started the whole confusion should be a thing of the past. So those who are calling for the VC to be asked to go or what, he should be there for everybody to listen to him, what has brought the university to this point. He should come out with his side of the story. The students should also come out with their side of the story so that we know what to do moving forward as a nation. I think that is very important.
I love the conclusion there, and that's been Honorable Daniel Kwesi Ashiama, a member of Parliament for Boem constituency in the Volta region. Well, the people of Boem, though, at Accra this weekend, they have
Boem Congress.
The Boem Congress.
Yeah.
I'm sure one of the issues we'll be talking about will be unity ahead of that proposed referendum, for which the Electoral Commission from this morning is displaying the voters' register in the designated demographical areas that have been asked to be demarcated for the proposed new OT region. I'm sure for the other regions across the country as well. Fuseni Isa is a member of Parliament for Kankwe North constituency. Your name is always confused.
You remind me of a manager I had in KPMG who decides to call me any name at all on any given day.
Fuseni Isa.
Uncle P, good morning.
Uncle P, okay.